Okay, hey. Uh, yeah. So we're going to try the mono red deck again, and we're going all in with the 8 Cleansing Wildfire effects. I know, thanks to Stickball Russ and everybody else who has been tagging me with Price of Freedom and Magmatic Hellkite for that matter. I know this came out the set before. It wasn't. This alone wasn't necessarily enough to entice me to try Modern again, but Price of Freedom definitely is. Now, since this wasn't available until relatively recently, even after Avatar went live or became available, it took a surprisingly long amount of time for the bots to actually have Price of Freedom in their inventory. I don't know why. I guess people didn't necessarily feel the need to sell these. Maybe they just kind of like left it in their collection because it ain't necessarily worth much. But at the same time, obviously it's got to get circulate somehow. So I've been playing a lot of the mono white deck, and I think this is probably going to get. I'm probably going to upload a league of this first because I actually did end up trophying with this one, and I am actually this one is going to be a voiceover after the fact. So I'm going to be doing play-by-play on this one, and I actually did this one actually before the 5-0 mono white league. But I want to show you all how this all went. Yeah, I don't want to make any spoilers, but I think that I think this is a pretty representative good league. I did about 3 or 4 leagues with slightly different builds, but this one is probably one of the better ones. One thing I'm not sure is should I have, for example, Candy Trail instead of Inscribed Tablet. Candy Trail, of course, gains 3 life. Scry 2. But one issue, I mean, it gains 3 life, which is excellent. Sometimes scrying 2 is better than just getting a land, but paying an extra mana does affect things. I mean, don't get me wrong, Candy Trail is like, I live and die by this card with the mono white deck, it seems like nowadays. I certainly think it's been proving its worth more than I ever could have expected, Pioneer and Modern, of course. But here's my thinking with Inscribed Tablet, really, is I was thinking that this is, in a way, extra copies of Demolition Field and Field of Ruin. It's not 100% extra copies, because sometimes these cards aren't in the top, 5 cards? Yeah, are not in the top 5 cards of your library. But it is cool that you can pretty much rely on Inscribed Tablet to hit your next land drop. It's very rare that it doesn't. And even when it doesn't, you still burn through 5 cards off at the top of your deck, and being mana screwed for 5 turns is pretty much game on the spot. So, even if this doesn't immediately find your land, which is incredibly rare, it still easily could be the difference between winning and losing if you really need that land. But most of the time, even when this doesn't reveal a land, you still draw a card. And if you think about it, like if you crack this at the end of your opponent's turn, even if you don't reveal a land, then you draw a card because of this last ability. If you didn't put a card into your hand, draw a card, right? And then you draw a card for your turn. So you actually kind of like, if you crack this at end of turn, you really kind of get 7 cards to find a land. So that's why it's pretty rare that you're not going to hit a land drop, which means that you can rely on this to find your land drops, which is kind of good in planning your turns, because it means that you can basically advance your land drops. You can use this to advance your land drops, use the land to basically cast your spells, just to be very efficient about how you use your mana. Because one of the problems with cards like Candy Trail is just that you can't be sure that you're actually going to hit a land or not. So, and it's also harder when it costs 3 total mana, 1 to play, 2 to crack, whereas this is 1 to play, 1 to crack. But mainly it's just having that certainty of knowing that you can go get a land with this, and a very good chunk of the time, because we have 8 of these lands, it really is extra copies of Demolition Field and Field of Ruin, which really plays into the 8-field strategy. It's almost 12-field when you have Inscribed Tablet in the mix. So that was really the thinking the thinking here. And of course, Forest Cleansing Wildfire, because this really pretty much defines, what the what mono red innate field really is all about. Especially being able to hit basics is really nice. And really, in this deck, Price of Freedom is essentially just a strict upgrade to Cleansing Wildfire. You might be wondering, is it strictly better? Well, technically no, because Cleansing Wildfire can destroy any land, whereas Price of Freedom only destroys lands that opponent controls. Being able to destroy an artifact, though, something I have to keep reminding me of. I keep thinking of this card as just extra copies of Cleansing Wildfire, but yeah, there are some situations where it might even come up with in this league where like the opponent has like a Quarry Steel Cutter or something that's really killing me, and I'm like, man, I wish I just had like a removal spell for this. And it's like I forget, like, man, Price of Freedom, this can hit artifacts too. Honestly, that might even be the bigger story here to this card than just being extra copies of Cleansing Wildfire, because that really does count for a lot. It's also worth noting that now that they've got this new ricochet type effect in red, like for 1 red, you can pay some amount of life, I forget how much, and you can change the target to target spell or ability. It is worth noting that, yeah, they can't redirect Price of Freedom like they can with Cleansing Wildfire. Not that it, I mean, you still end up drawing a card, so it's not like redirecting a Stone Rain or anything. Plus you can fetch out a basic, but still, is worth noting. Price of Freedom can't be redirected. Same thing with the artifact effect, unless you have a Inscribed Tablet sitting around. They can't redirect that either. Well, they can't even with that. Sorry, my whole point is this is opponent's control. So even if you do have an Inscribed Tablet around, yeah, you can't redirect it. Yeah, and then there's Sundering Eruption. So yeah, I actually really wish I could squeeze Geomancer's Gambit into this deck. Some other versions that I played in the 3 or 4 or so leagues I tried testing this out in. I did try Geomancer's Gambit, and it's not bad. It's obviously strictly worse than Cleansing Wildfire, and even more strictly worse than Price of Freedom. However, it is essentially an extra, slightly overcosted Cleansing Wildfire, which it really does seem like Wizards is kind of aware that me and perhaps some other people are trying to make something out of these types of effects, because I literally can't figure out why Wizards would have made this in Modern Horizons. I barely even knew this card existed until I just did like a Gatherer search of sorts. Not Gatherer, but actually just used the search function here in Magic Online. It kind of sucks that I can't quite utilize all these cards if Wizards is trying to throw me and whoever else is doing this a bone. Yeah, but Sundering Eruption is kind of like that, except you don't draw a card. But I think being a land, in addition to being a Geomancer's Gambit, I think more than is more than a fair trade-off. There just kind of isn't room for Geomancer's Gambit, whereas there always is room for a land drop, because if this was like another land, we just replace it with Sundering Eruption. So there you go. It is really cool too that you can also just pay 3 life, make it enter tapped, untapped. I mean, so yeah, not much more to say. It also does hit basics, just like Price of Freedom, Cleansing Wildfire. I would say 75% of the time I play this as a land, but those times where I actually play it out, I have to imagine it's making a big difference. Then of course, yeah, Seasoned Pyromancer, like, at the end of the day, we need win cons, and this card has just been one of the most consistent and reliable win cons, plus also draw engines, plus also just, great chump blocking factory that really I have ever... I think this card pretty much makes mono red a thing, mono red mid-range, that is. I think, like, playing a mid-range / control-ish type red deck, it's just not possible with that Seasoned Pyromancer. So, if you're looking for a budget replacement, I really came to the conclusion for a while now that there's just no way you can do it really without Seasoned Pyromancer. It makes a total of 5 bodies potentially if you pitch 2 non-lands from your hand when it comes into play, plus 2 more bodies on the back end, assuming they don't exile it, assuming they just destroy it normally. Yeah, so 5 bodies per card. It's just that's most decks do not have enough removal to deal with all that, so it's somewhat of a reliable win condition in the sense that one of the problems you have to watch out for is if your opponent has more removal than you have threats, and because this dumps so many bodies, it's you don't have to worry about that as much. And of course, there's wraths and other things, but you get the idea. Of course, this isn't really our only threat because we are also playing Krenko's Buzzcrusher and Magmatic Hellkite. Now these cards are very similar, and at first glance, Magmatic Hellkite might seem like a strictly better version of Krenko's Buzzcrusher, and I would say 75% of the time or so it is. Not being an artifact means it doesn't die to shatter type effects or whatever have you. The fact that it has 1 extra toughness is not insignificant, especially with cards like Scion of Draco. This could potentially block Scion of Draco even powered up with a leyline whatever you call it, whatever that leyline of Guild Pact. Yeah, because it can still block first strike, and then it will survive, and then strike back. Of course, this card could always just get a leyline binding, but having 5 toughness is also cool because it dodges lightning bolt. Of course, so does Krenko's Buzzcrusher, but yeah, so it has an extra toughness. It's not an artifact, whereas Krenko's Buzzcrusher is an artifact creature. And of course, probably most commonly biggest difference of all is that the basic the opponent fetches comes in with a stun counter, delaying them a turn on that one. And you might think at first that this doesn't really make much of a difference because they're going to be out of basics by the time this comes down, but this has not really been the case in my experience. Very often, like, they will have at least 1 or 2 basics left when this comes down. So it might even be the last basic that they end up fetching out with a stun counter, but them not having access to that basic for that one more turn, and then maybe the next turn we clean it up with Cleansing Wildfire. Yeah, that's actually quite impactful. So this is a very solid card. I'm actually seeing a surprising number of non-Ponza type decks that seem to be, I guess, bringing this in as a sideboard card to deal with things like, Urza Saga, whatever other types of non-basic lands that they just want to have access to some card to kill it. And it's hard to blame them. It's hard to blame them for reaching for this card as like a sideboard option to deal with non-basics. I do see them bring it in against me, so sometimes we have dueling Magmatic Hellkites. Yeah, I mean, it ain't no what's it called? What's this card called again? What's that dragon? Oh, whatever. There's like a 5-mana 4/4 flying when it comes to play Storage Grant non-basic land, and it costs 1 less for each colorless land your opponents control. So it's not necessarily that, but it's if your opponent is not necessarily playing a lot of colorless lands specifically, yeah, then this card does do quite a good job, and it does have 1 extra toughness. So yeah. Anywho, but Krenko's Buzzcrusher still has a place in the deck, I think, even though Magmatic Hellkite is in many ways better overall. Aside from the fact that it's just extra copies, one thing, it does have Trample. That doesn't always come up, but it's actually surprisingly easy to miss. Even I sometimes forget it as Trample. I even think I won a game once. I think this was before though. Before I started playing Modern again. Like I do remember at least once the opponent tried to block. It was with a Thopter token. I don't really see so many of those. What do you call those Thopter decks? The Thopter Foundry decks. I don't really see those much anymore. But before Modern Horizons 3, those were more common. And I think once the opponent might have even been able to recover if they had blocked more effectively, but they missed it at a trample, and they blocked with only 1 Thopter token, and then they took lethal, and then, hey, that was pretty cool. So there's that. Not a huge deal, but there is trample. But I would say one of the most underrated aspects of this card is that it doesn't actually technically target you. It says up to 1 non-basic land. It doesn't say target, so that means that Two things. One thing, I do see Lotus Bloom seeing more play in Modern than I remember it seeing before. There was, of course, always like the Lotus Bloom combo deck. There was, of course, the Blood Sun Lotus Bloom control deck that just used it for extra mana. But now Amulet Titan seems to be playing it too. So being able to pick off Lotus Bloom is very powerful when that comes up, needless to say. Sometimes, of course, they can just go off the same turn they play Lotus Bloom, in which case this won't really have a chance to snipe it. But more often than you might think, the Lotus Bloom sacks 2 lands, and then you get to Krenko's Buzzcrusher it, and then you effectively destroy 3 lands, which is pretty cool. Technically, of course, you do have to have a way to untap Lotus Bloom, because it does come into play tap normally. But of course, Amulet and all that, there are many ways to untap it. But still, nonetheless, Krenko's Buzzcrusher, there is that ability. Oh yeah, and the other most common reason, the much more common reason, a little bit less impactful, if I say so myself, than hitting a Lotus Bloom, is that this can hit fetch lands. That's more relevant than you might think, though, because later in the game, one way the opponent tries to claw back in to an otherwise pawns it out experience is that they start dropping some uncracked fetches, and then they try to build up to, like, say, 4 uncracked fetches. And, sure, they'll take like a boatload of damage from their fetches. If they fetch shock, unless they get basics, but usually they don't want to get basics, because then they're closer to just getting strictly pawns without anything else to fetch out. And that is actually one reason that I prefer Lightning Bolt on another topic to Galvanic. What's it called? Galvanic Discharge. This is a very solid card, and there is certainly I did try at least a couple times playing this alongside Lightning Bolt, but I just can't in good conscience ever think that, I do see some decks that seem to be playing this in lieu of Lightning Bolt. I can't quite bring myself to do that. I certainly see the logic, because 2 of them, one can hit like a 2 toughness creature, the next one can hit a 4 toughness creature, or one can hit a 1 toughness creature, the next one can hit a 5 toughness creature. Like, there is a certain degree of greater flexibility in being able to hit creatures because of saving up the energy. But like I said, because of this phenomena where the opponent will play sometimes, 3-4 uncracked fetch lands, and then they'll fetch shock a ton to try to play something on 3 or 4 mana that they otherwise couldn't. Because if I try to, like, Cleansing Wildfire a fetch land, they can just fetch it in response, kind of discouraging me from doing that. But of course, Lightning Bolt is awesome, because sometimes they take like 6 damage, and then next thing you know, they're at 3 life, and boom. But that's where Krenko Buzzcrusher, to get back to my point, is that this can, for example, prevent them from getting to that 4th uncracked fetch, because once this comes down, they don't really have an opportunity to crack the fetch. In response to the ability. I mean, they could, but then because it doesn't target, if they crack the fetch, then of course I just select the land that they fetched with it, or another fetch land that they didn't crack. But of course, if they don't crack the fetch land, then because it doesn't target, by the time the ability resolves, just boom, you just actually destroy the fetch land. Anyway, wow, this deck tech has been going on longer than expected. I think about 20 minutes is a good amount of time. Oh yeah, just a quick removal suite. I already explained Lightning Bolt and why I favor that over Galvanic Discharge. I'd honestly just, one card actually, and we might see a little bit of this. Ice Till Explorer. I mean, like, there's certain cards with 4 toughness that you just have to be able to kill. Like, this card appeared at one point, and I don't know if it was this league or not that you're all are going to see. Let's just say if you can't deal with this card on the spot, then this card will just destroy you with this Ponza type deck. I couldn't believe how disgusting this card was when I saw it, and I didn't have an answer to it. And now I have Flame Slash, and you do have, of course, Unholy Heat, and it's not super difficult, especially with Inscribed Tablet adding to the types of cards. If you ever see it, it's an easy artifact you can put in the graveyard. So it is a little bit concerning that there's only sort of like 8 easy answers, and Lightning Bolt doesn't hit Ice Till Explorer, but still, Unholy Heat, it's hard to argue. 6 possible damage, no other burn spell really does that much damage, let alone one that costs 1 mana. you can't really do 6 damage for you really can't do 6 damage in red until you start paying like 4 mana otherwise. And since like you don't really get 6 damage except for like at 4 mana, for the most part, I mean, needless to say, being able to do 6 damage for 1 mana is just unheard of. So I think as long as this card is modern legal, yeah. So I think that does it for the main deck. You know, there is actually an argument here, like Volatile Fault. I never quite pulled the trigger on it. I thought about maybe I want to play Volatile Fault instead of Blast Zone for even more disgusting, non-basic land hate. But at the end of the day, I think what Blast Zone does is a little bit too important, because we're not even mono white, so we don't really have an ability. For example, nobody really plays Death Shadow anymore, but Death Shadow is a good example, like a 1-drop that can quickly become unburnable. Also, man, you might see a little bit of this, but I'll tell you right now, just a little bit of a disclaimer. This deck is a little gimmicky, and one of the reasons why, unfortunately, it's kind of gimmicky is certain cards just kind of like are a big problem for the deck. That and there's really no good answer for the most part, and one of those is Psychic Frog. The closest thing to a clean answer to Psychic Frog in this deck is actually Blast Zone, but you know, by the time you crank this to 2, it's not until turn 4. You have to spend turn 3 to put this on 2. Then turn 4, you have exactly enough mana to crack it. But by then, Psychic Frog could have drawn, at least 2 cards, and yeah, not an ideal. Even if it's the cleanest answer, it's not an ideal answer. Yeah, and probably the next cleanest answer is Flame Slash, but unless you got like 2 of these and 2 red, and with 12 red sources, you're not always going to have access to 2 red sources on turn 2. But like even with Flame Slash, all the Psychic Frog player has to do is discard 3 cards, I believe. Yeah, because they discard 3 cards, they put 3+1/+1 counters, and then it has 5 toughness. And you might be thinking, well, having to discard 3 cards is pretty crippling, no? I mean, not really. First of all, they draw a card whenever they attack with a Psychic Frog, and then even if you have a blocker, like with Seasoned Pyromancer or something, well, they just dump 3 cards into their graveyard, they can give it flying. But on top of that, also, I mean, it's not like we play any Path to Exile effects or anything. I mean, I suppose we could, but the problem is if we splash other colors, it's a little awkward because we really need to max out in basics, if you know what I mean. I just realized I have different themed planes here. Yeah, you know what? Let's fix that right now. Yeah, let's fix that right now. Sorry, just a quick detour. Yeah, I kind of like the different themed basics. It's a very quick and easy way for me to tell if I'm playing Modern or Pioneer, because believe it or not, sometimes it gets a little confusing, especially with the mono white deck that is so similar. Pioneer and Modern, just a few cards difference. So I kind of like having a different choice of basics. Kind of like these for Modern, and then I like the Zendikar ones for Pioneer. Don't ask me why. Just for whatever reason, this feels more like Modern, and Zendikar feels more like Pioneer. That's just how I roll. Anywho, yeah. So like, yeah, it's the Psychic Frog, man. It's just it's not like we play any type of clean answer other than Blast Zone, I guess. But they pretty much draw enough cards to completely offset the 3 cards they have to discard anyway when you Flame Slash. So there's really not that much downside, and you might not even have Blast Zone. And oh yeah, and it deals more damage while it's also drawing more cards. There's not really much downside to the Psychic Frog player to just dump as many cards out of their hand as they can to keep it alive, because Psychic Frog with built-in evasion too, being able to give itself flying, that's one of the only things that could discourage them from doing that, is if it wasn't able to give itself flying, Seasoned Pyromancer could potentially just brick wall it which is one of the ways I used to win against Death Shadow decks, just having just a great, almost semi-infinite source of chump blockers that could just keep holding the fort until maybe eventually I drew a Blast Zone or something. Fortunately, that's just not on the table with Psychic Frog because it grants itself evasion, and so there's just not that much downside to them just creating a big Psychic Frog because it's just an engine and a win con just all built into one, and pretty much one that's almost impossible for us to deal with besides a very slow and clunky Blast Zone. But one of the reasons why I favor having Blast Zone is that, hey, at least a slow and clunky and very unideal answer to something like Psychic Frog is better than no answer at all and being completely cold, if you know what I mean. So I guess we can block it for one turn with Hellkite or Buzzcrusher, but that I don't give too much weight to that. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, because of that, that's one reason why I do favor Blast Zone, among others, of course, enchantments. Okay, trying to wrap this up. Yeah, so Dismember in the sideboard. I don't really see that many Planeswalkers anymore, and one card that there's two different options I thought of, like Flame Break. Yeah, so like some other, or Flame, what is it called? There's like Fan Flames. So there's like Flame Blitz, okay. Back when Wrenn and 6 was more common, this was a pretty nice sideboard option. I just don't really see Wrenn and 6 much anymore, which is nice because Wrenn and 6 is one of the natural enemies of these types of Ponza type decks. Honestly, I don't see that many Planeswalkers, period, in Modern, for better or for worse. So there's that. Fang Flames, it's not Fan Flames, Fang Flames is another one that shout out for everybody who brought this to my attention, because it is mostly a strict upgrade to Obliterating Bolt, at least in the Modern Horizon sets. Not Pioneer legal, of course, but that's fine. But at the end of the day, since I'm just not seeing that many Planeswalkers, and also I haven't seen Burn. Like, Burn seems to have completely disappeared, probably because Fillage, just random life gain, is just such a pain in the you-know-what. Bottom line, Dismember seems like a very clean answer to cards like Ice Till, Explorer. Plus, it's only 1 mana. Plus, it technically can deal with Pro Red, not that I see that often. Oh yeah, another thing too, I don't really see it that often, but sometimes, and this is more common in Pioneer nowadays, but I did actually used to see this in Modern. I guess it doesn't count. There's like a protection from monocolored cards, so never mind. This actually can't hit that card, so never mind that. But yeah, I guess for the most part, it can technically hit mono red, protection from red, even though we don't really see protection from red creatures that much anymore, since we don't really see much burn anymore, I guess. But yeah, just an extra fairly high-powered removal spell at the cost of 4 life. But in some matchups, we just need extra removal that badly, especially high-powered ones. Storm's Wrath. This is potentially main deckable, but just a good sweeper. This is also one of our only answers to Scion of Draco, because at least like it grants itself hexproof with the Leyline of the Guild Pack, but it does not grant itself indestructible. So, or it doesn't grant itself +1/+1, thankfully. So technically, Storm's Wrath can deal with it, just like a Wrath of God type effect can. The opponent, of course, could counter this, but hey, they could technically counter just about any answer. It's not the cheapest answer, but it can also sweep away pretty much any other threat on the field except for a Territorial Kavu. So there's that too. It's pretty solid. I like it, if not for anything else than just that actually having an answer to Scion of Draco, even if it's not the cheapest answer, is pretty critical, I think. Otherwise, you just ought to lose, especially with the life gain and everything. Yeah, and again, Magmatic Hellkite is potentially a blocker, but it is nice to actually be able to remove it, because eventually they will draw into their Leyline Bindings or double Lightning Bolt. But it is also nice too that Magmatic Hellkite survives Storm's Wrath, so you can Storm's Wrath with a Hellkite on the battlefield, Yeah. So oftentimes, if I bring Storm's Wrath in, I'm going to take Buzzcrusher out. And then, of course, Relic of Progenitus, just one of the most efficient, most solid graveyard hate cards that you can play. And then there's Shatterstorm, and you might be thinking, what on earth is Shatterstorm doing? Is Affinity really that big, and is it really that much of a problem for the deck? Well, the answer is yes and yes. I actually do see Affinity, at least one Affinity, almost every single league. I'm not sure why exactly. The deck feels a little gimmicky to me, but it also seems insanely powerful. Like a turn 1 Kappa Cannoneer will defeat almost any deck, including, frankly, this one. Shatterstorm is... yeah, you will probably, especially if you're on the draw, you will die before you can even cast Shatterstorm. Not even counting if they have counter spells or not. Like you just will not be able to get to 4 mana in time before the Kappa Cannoneer kills you. That being said, this is the only clean answer to Kappa Cannoneer that also incidentally also deals with any other artifacts they have. Yes, if they have Metallic Rebuke, a good chunk of the time it will be fairly trivial for them to be able to hold that up, but of course sometimes they could misplay. They won't always have it, and I know enough from playing my mono white deck with the Wrath of God that I would say maybe about 50% of the time they don't have Metallic Rebuke, because if you think about it, like a lot of things have to come together. They have to have a hand with enough cheap artifacts that they can dump an early Kappa Cannoneer. It's just not always the case that they have all those right cards to dump an early Kappa Cannoneer, and they have a Metallic Rebuke. And if they do it, all stars align. Obviously, there's nothing you can do. Because sometimes they'll draw a Kappa Cannoneer, but they won't be able to cast it until later, or they won't draw it at all until later. In those cases, yeah, either you can cast multiple Shatterstorms, so like you can play around like a first Metallic Rebuke, or you can even cast this with 3 mana open to pay for Metallic Rebuke. So like in that scenario, yeah, you can you can play around it. But in the other scenario where they have an early Kappa Cannoneer but not Metallic Rebuke, then this card obviously does the job. I mean, it will feel bad when you lose games because they just easily Metallic Rebuke this. It will feel bad, and it will feel kind of like maybe I shouldn't even play a sideboard card. But I just can't help but feel like because I am having success with the mono white deck, which might not be the best example, because also like Solitude, for example, you can on 4 mana you can play Solitude, and you can somewhat easily just pay for a ward. Also, if at 1 more mana you can Path to Exile and then also pay the 4. So but that's mono white. Like we just have very few and far between ways of dealing with Kappa Cannoneer, and in theory there could be other decks, other artifact type decks where we want to sweep the board of all artifacts. Since we're not playing Mazemind Tome, and Inscribed Tablet is almost always hitting the graveyard pretty soon, especially since probably we're going to be cracking an Inscribed Tablet in order to get to 4 mana if we see a Inscribed Tablet. So yeah, just basically having an actual plan. Pretty much like we have no plan against the Kappa Cannoneer Affinity deck except for Shatterstorm. What does suck though is this does not hit munitions engineering or whatever that's called. So that kind of sucks because at a certain point, if it cracks out enough of those munitions tokens, this card becomes uncastable because you'll kill all their tokens, and those will then in turn kill you. That being said, at the end of the day, I have to imagine that this is at least a worthy consideration, because otherwise you just have to write off the Affinity matchup. It's just unwinnable. It kills you faster. Also, I love how somebody just decided, Kappa Cannoneer costing essentially as little as 1 mana, growing every time an artifact comes into play, not being legendary. It's still not dang good enough. We got to make it so it can't block whenever an artifact comes into play. I mean, it can't be blocked, And that just means that forget about trying to rely on Seasoned Pyromancer as a way to brick wall it, like otherwise might be a valid strategy. Yeah, so there you go. Shatterstorm, the only real game plan against Affinity nowadays. So there you go. And then with that, I guess we finally get into the games. Wow, what a deck check. All right, okay, let's examine game 1, how this one went. Yeah, I might skip around a little bit, but this one obviously was a keep. I don't think this game was that long. So pretty much we're just going to see if we can get some traction with the Cleansing Wildfire Ponza strategy. This is a great example of Sundering Eruption being excellent to have as a spell in addition to a land, because otherwise we'd kind of be ridiculously flooded, and because Sundering Eruption is a spell in addition to a land, we're not. We will see many instances where, of course, we need Sundering Eruption as a land, so it's not correct to just look at this and say it would be better off as Geomancer's Gambit. I think we can all appreciate that. We did see an example there of the opponent having a fetch land and making it so that we couldn't really... Yeah. So I'm going to do this. Yeah, I suppose I could have just tried the Sundering Eruption, but I don't really know how many... Okay, all right, well, that's fine. You know, there's a part of me almost that feels like maybe it's even better that they did that, because I'm not 100% sure that pitching these Sundering Eruptions is the overall best. And we draw another Seasoned Pyromancer, so in all honesty, this might even work to our benefit better. So okay, we'll take that. That's fine. Use 2 energy. So they can play another Galvanic Discharge and use the extra energy. This is one reason why some players, I think, favor Galvanic Discharge. It's exactly the scenario. Let's see if this resolves. We do have the option to cash in our Blast Zone for another mountain, but I don't think so. I actually think I might hit the Flooded Strand here, if I remember correctly. Oh, they crack it, okay. Just because, you know, them holding that could end up becoming annoying down the road. And we'll hit the Steam Vents. I guess I don't think they fully appreciate. I think they thought they might be able to respond, and so yeah, I don't think that shock ends up really doing anything. But yeah, if we don't draw another land next turn, the play is obviously Cleansing Wildfire into Sundering Eruption. Yeah. See if this let's see if this works. Okay, we'll take it. Okay, I think we are going to go after the plains again. I think this has got to be the last plains in their deck, and we do favor going after plains and mountains because they're almost certainly playing Fleege, and yeah, we might as well make our land drop. They're almost certainly playing Fleege, and if we cut them off of mountains and plains, they can't play it. It costs 2 white and 2 red. Mountains and plains are definitely more priority. Yeah, so I think we start off going after that, and then potentially double Price of Freedom. Yeah. Hopefully they're out. I think they... Oh yeah, they're out. Okay. This might just be GG if they do not have a counterspell. Okay. It just so happens that we're not planning on playing a creature like that. Again, we prioritize mountain. Like if they have a spell snare, we would rather you know, the last land they have be an island than be a mountain. But since they didn't counter it, might as well just put them to 0 lands. You know, I see very little downside. Now, even if they play a fetch land because of Krenko, that will zap the fetch land, which is one of the whole advantages of having it in the first place. And they've had enough, and I can't necessarily blame them. So that was a pretty good showing for game 1. Remember what I sideboard here. Oh wait, maybe I just don't sideboard anything. Yeah, I don't sideboard. I don't end up sideboarding anything. Yep. Okay. This was an easy mulligan. Absolutely no lands. Yeah, well, I mean, hey, we have an answer to Ragavan. We have Seasoned Pyromancer. We have Cleansing Wildfire. This Sundering Eruption could potentially be a spell since we did draw a 3rd land. even though it costs us life to do so, Sundering Eruption being able to come into play untapped is pretty dang good, because it means we can hold on to it without too much fear of it screwing us up too badly. That's one of the biggest problems with these spell lands that come into play tapped, is just that you're just so incentivized to play them as a land a lot of times, at least when you don't have anything better to do with a tap land. And then you never really see the spell benefit of them. So they just end up oftentimes being like worse lands. But when they can come into play untapped, you can afford to be a little more aggressive with, you know what to say. Yeah, so Arena of Glory, that card can potentially deal us an extra 9 damage, because if they manage to cast a Foliage out of the graveyard with this, then yeah, then it will gain haste, and it will also do another 3 damage on the attack. Taking an extra 9 damage is a little bit scary. Play next turn is most likely going to be Seasoned Pyromancer. Can they dress down? Yes. But if they do, we've got a backup Seasoned Pyromancer. It's just because I like this card being impactful. It's good against Ragavan. It establishes a clock. It digs us deeper into our deck. Sundering Eruption is cool and all, but it doesn't even draw a card. It doesn't actually at this particular stage advance us too bad. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, man. Ooh. Oh yeah, Null Drifter. Let's see, do they counter the evoke ability? They do. It's kind of a problem because we don't really have a... So I guess what we can do is we can play Inscribed Tablet, crack it. If we had 1 more mana, we could have cracked the Demolition Field, but since we don't, we have to Lightning Bolt face. And we do have to we'd have to kill the Null Drifter because it has Annihilator 1. I don't, we didn't click on it, but it'll start killing our lands in addition to hitting us for 4. Surprisingly powerful card. All right, do this. We will probably just flash back the Seasoned Pyro tokens. Hitting their lands is cool and all, but they have 1 more plane left in their deck, and that might be it. Oh, they have 1 more plane and 1 more mountain, I think. So we're still a little ways away from actually... Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That means... I still think we're playing the tokens. They're at 13 too, so like they are somewhat susceptible to. Yeah. So I'm kind of sensing that they've got a Solitude, but it's too tempting with them at 13 life. I have to go for it. That's a good sign. Sometimes you think they got it, but they don't. Obviously, Solitude would have been the better play. Solitude block. So, do this. Yeah. Do this. Again, prioritizing the plains and the mountains. Okay. Hopefully they don't go raga on me. I don't like getting ragged. Oh, another one of these. Please don't. Okay, good. Yeah, as long as that card doesn't stick around, I think we're okay. Yeah, so I think honestly I probably should have gone after Hollowed Fountain, but I can understand my reasoning there. Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, I understand my reasoning there, because I do want to go after the basics. Back to basics, as they say. Yeah, we're really going to town on our lands. It's kind of the idea of this deck. Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to play Seasoned Pyromancer when I've got a field, which is pretty invaluable, I think, so I'm going to wait. I remember how this went. I can intercept a Ragavan, the untapped Blast Zone. Doorkeeper Thrall. I can put this on 2. Ouch, the Thrall makes it so that the evoke trigger doesn't trigger. That's not ideal. Plus, it's going to prevent my Pyromancer from. All right. Yeah, we're going to get annihilated. All right, well, at least we're going to intercept the Raga. Yep. Okay. Well, that's good. That's excellent for dealing with the Null Drifter, for sure. Yeah, just trying to make sure. Now we have to crack Blast Zone before we play Seasoned Pyromancer, or we ain't getting nothing out of it. But we happen to have exactly enough mana to cast it. So this was a pretty good turn, if I say so myself. Get another land destruction effect. It's pretty good. And to all those doubters, this is why I play Flame Slash. There is a surprising amount of 4 toughness creatures that cause big problems that, having an answer to is just good. It's just good. There's just nothing else to say other than having an answer is good. I know I normally go after. Okay, Doorkeeper Thrall. Well, I can Flame Slash and then play Krenko. I see little reason not to, especially since I can help prevent a Muldrifter sticking simply by killing their lands. They concede, and man, if all games go like this, obviously that's this is just resetting, so I'll go to the next one. But yeah, if only all games are as smooth as this one, this was a good showing. All right, match 2. This one seems to be a bit of a longer match, so I might skip around a little bit more in this one, especially since it seems to be taking a while for us to decide to keep our hands or not. This hand is clearly a keep. And it's one of the things I like about these Inscribed Tablets. 3 mana is a lot, but it is just nice knowing that I will hit my land drafts for the foreseeable future. And you can keep in mind, there's nothing shameful at all about pitching a tablet to a Seasoned Pyromancer too. If you're just too flooded and you just don't, okay, Guide of Souls. We're probably going to Unholy Heat that, because that will, yeah. So I think we'll do this. Like, we wanted to wait until the attack phase in case they dash Ragavan. But ultimately, that card gains life. When it makes energy, it can pump its creatures out of burn range, and just overall a insanely good card. Because, the Soul Sisters just obviously weren't good enough. A card that's several magnitudes just better in every way. Seems fun and fair. Yep. You're also gonna love how literally everything is like 2 toughness now, including a Johnny. Obviously the token isn't, but that doesn't matter because if the token gets killed, a Johnny flips. So everything's either 2 toughness or it doesn't really matter if it dies. Okay. I have a feeling this ain't gonna go too hot for us. Seasoned Pyromancer dumps a little too many bodies. We tablet. Let's see what. Okay, we gotta. Well, if we happen to draw our own Seasoned Pyromancer, then we are gonna be we're gonna be in it. Nope. You just can't deal with haste. And there's a dashed Ragavan. Yep, played a dashed Ragavan coming at me. What did we reveal actually? Lightning Bolt. Surprised they didn't cast it. It's pretty. Oh, they did. Or they didn't. Oh, yeah. I think they just kill us. Because they hit the cat token. Johnny flips. They uptick, deal 4 damage. They have 4 creatures. They can sack to bombardment. And wow. Good stuff. A scary deck for sure. So sideboarding time. Yeah, Storm's Wrath. That's a game changer. Our ability to actually dig ourselves out of that hole is pretty invaluable. Yeah, I kind of like Tablet, so it's kind of hard to cut it. I think I end up cutting Buzzcrusher. Yeah. It also disenergizes because it gets swept up in my own Storm's Wrath. I don't think there's anything else. We're gonna hope that we can keep them off of Flage through the Ponzang rather than through Graveyard. The Graveyard Hate. Okay. It's taking a while, so we'll skip ahead. Okay. Alright. First turn, either we're going to Unholy Heat or we're going to Tablet. So, yeah, we're on the play, so we Tablet. They play Ragavan. Yeah. Why did I just see the exact sequence here? Man, these long pauses though are a little frustrating, but obviously I wait until they're I wait until they're beginning a combat phase, and the reason why is because now they can't dash another one. And I'm on track to playing a turn 3 Seasoned Pyromancer, which means even if they play another Ragavan, or dash another Ragavan, I have a pretty good answer too. Bombardment, that's a little... Oh, see, this is what I was thinking of them at end of turn. Yeah, and I even just draw this on the 6th card, but I actually had one more card draw. I had one more chance to draw a land. And that is functionally land, so there you go. I think I will discard Sundering Eruption, and I can't remember what else do I discard. Cleansing Wildfire? I think so. Or maybe Storm's Wrath. Yeah, Storm's Wrath is a bit less exciting when I've got this many bodies in the battlefield. This is a good example of where Magmatic Hellkite can really slow them down. Because it just so happened that the way this played out, I wasn't necessarily digging at their lands right away. They play a Ragavan like that, and see, sure enough, as I expected, they had it, and Seasoned Pyromancer discouraged it quite well, if I say so myself. I can play removal spell. Then Seasoned Pyromancer has excellent blockers. Yeah, we do not want this card granting haste. We just don't. We want to say no. Yep, might as well. Okay. I think... Okay, so they have a flipped... but I think Unholy Heat should be able to make quick work of this. Yeah, so we double field. Yeah. Yeah, so we go to our turn, play the field, Demolition Field, play Blast Zone, field again. I wish the opponent didn't take such long pauses. They're entitled to do that, but it just make it a little... does hurt the viewing experience a little bit, because either there's going to be long pauses or I have to skip around. Yeah, let's do this. Go after that. And instant sorcery, creature, artifact, land. So we had more than enough for Unholy Heat, but we happen to draw Lightning Bolt. So I think we win a Lightning Bolt because you just never know. Somehow they might drop something that's more than 3. Can they Nahiri the Harbinger? Who knows? Okay. I think I go after the red. Yeah. think that's got to be it. Yeah, good. Yeah, and I can hit that too. So we're on track to Ponzing them out. It's pretty cool. We play a Soul Guide. I can Storm's Wrath pretty easily. They sacked the token in response, and I sacked the guide in response. So yeah, they sacked that in response. Sack that. We create these two at end of their turn. Attack. They play an Ocelot Pride. Who are the Patriots? Lalulelo. I wonder if they have a Metal Gear Universes Beyond. If this is going to be, who. I don't know exactly the connection to Lifelink and all that, but I could see it. Interestingly enough, if I remember correctly, they decided to just sack the Pride, which is interesting because it is theoretically a better blocker because it has first strike, but yeah, right. Yeah, they played a Guide. I can Lightning Bolt it. Hellkite. I don't think they had any non-basic, but we just want to speed the clock up. Hellkite in the next game. I still don't think I sideboard anything. Pretty much just Storm Wrath, keep that in. This hand is absolutely not a keep. Yeah, this hand is. Got removal, Cleansing Wildfire, Seasoned Pyromancer, pretty much everything, and Storm's Wrath, pretty much everything we need to potentially succeed in this matchup. Yeah, because of the danger of dashing Ragavan, we hold this up, dashing through the snow with a one-horse open Ragavan. Okay. Yeah, and I think we pitched the Cleansing Wildfire. As awesome as Cleansing Wildfire is, it's just yeah. In this matchup, we win more by stabilizing than we do by quickly dispensing of their lands. We stabilize and then we dispense with their lands, and that's more of a win con than it is like a part of our proactive strategy. Discharge, Windswept, Seasoned Pyromancer, Demolition Field. And they must not have a mountain. They must have a mountain in their hand or something, because it seems that they had no. Yeah. All right, we're just gonna sweep that away with Storm's Wrath. It's nice to get a 2-for-1. Part of me would like to play Magmatic Hellkite, but I think Storm's Wrath is better. There seriously was some consideration for Hellkite, though. They don't really, because I don't think they play like a Leyline Binding type effect, so they don't really have a clean answer to it, and then they could extend into Storm's Wrath even further. On the other hand, it combines with with my own Storm's Wrath, it can, yeah. Okay, well, they had to use their own removal spell on that. And we can Lightning Bolt. Yeah, Johnny. Okay, they +1. +1, I can dig it. I think I'm going to Hellkite. Yeah. Stun Mountain. They just didn't fetch a mountain, I guess. So how did they deal with the Hellkite here? Oh, because they had enough energy. Okay. Well, aren't they the high energy? They're not low energy Jeb. They have energy. I think we're gonna be okay from what I remember. Go after that. Yeah, go like that. And I think I just put Blast Zone to 2. Johnny does count as a 2-mana Planeswalker, after all, and I did clear their board for the most part. I thought I was gonna go Blast Zone on 2, but okay. Okay. Sundering Eruption on their mountain. Yeah, this is actually spiraling a little bit. I think I should have Blast Zoned a while ago, but we did crack this up to 2. Get another Blast Zone. Having another mountain in the deck to crack seems good. I think I have to hit the soul. No. And double lightning bolt. So what we can do is we can play Seasoned Pyromancer, get 2 tokens, block the 2 Cat Warriors. Okay, I probably should have left 1 Demolition Field open just in case, but yeah, we want to hit that. We don't want to go down to 3 because if they have lightning bolt, we just insta die. Yeah, this seems pretty obvious. This does mean we're gonna have to lightning bolt their elemental token, but I think that's a price worth paying. Yeah, we do have to do that because we don't want to die to lightning bolt or to foliage coming down. Yeah. Yeah. Tablet. Sorry, I gotta get going soon. Tablet and yeah, Demolition Field. That's a good one. And I think next turn I draw Seasoned Pyromancer, and I think they just give up, which maybe is a little premature on their end, but I think it's good. Yep, and I think this triggers a concession. All right, this one I think is going to be a pretty quick game, so I don't think I'll need to be jumping around too much. I apologize if I jumped around a little bit much on last one, but I actually had something coming up in just a couple minutes, and I had to wrap up before then. Yeah, so this obviously can't we can't Cleansing Wildfire because of that flooded strand. This is actually an issue in Modern. Oh, I just realized I could try 8 Cleansing Wildfires in Pioneer 2 now. Because one nice thing is they can't hold up the fetch land like they can do that in Pioneer. The issue is that the issue in Pioneer is frickin' Unholy Annex. They just draw like a gazillion cards, although we might actually be able to keep them, like at a certain point, we can just kind of keep them forever locked, perhaps. Yeah, I might look into seeing if this deck is possible in Pioneer, maybe. Magmatic Hellkite. Magmatic Hellkite's no joke. Well, losing Seasoned Pyromancer, though, for Pioneer is a pretty big deal. Yeah, that's big. That forest has got a stun counter, and now we got a 4/5 beater. See, they've got a Hellkite. Uh-oh. Okay, it's not too bad. Oh, unfortunately, they can sack that birthing ritual. I think they get their own Hellkite if I remember correctly. Oh no, that's infinitely worse. It's got to have freaking 7 toughness too. Yeah, this sucks. Let's go after the. Let's just do this on the planes. They don't really have any other planes. Oh yeah, so ran them out of basics. That's good. That's good. Getting there. Okay. Bloodbraid Elf. That might be a problem, especially a double birthing ritual. That's less than ideal, to say the least. I doubt they're going to sacrifice the Elish Norn. And the problem is they get 2 triggers. Look at that. Hang at the crossroads. Yeah, this is low-key kind of disgusting. Oh, look at that. You get 2 triggers off of Magmatic Hellkite. And Magmatic doesn't actually destroy it because of a Elish Norn. It hit Ang. I mean, I guess, right? Why not? No, I'm just, yeah, there's no way out of that. Storm's Wrath, I think, probably. Dismember, okay, I can buy that. Oh, maybe that's it. Surprised I didn't go. Yeah, I guess Storm's Wrath is a. Surprised I didn't get Storm's Wrath actually. But I like instant speed because what we can do is we can hit their Bloodbraid Elves and whatnot before they can sacrifice it with. I guess that's my thinking. Probably at least one Flame Slash should have been one Storm's Wrath, but I don't know. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, might as well go after that. We did that then because they do have like instant speed Ice Fang Quaddles and whatnot. You never know if they could take advantage of the extra mana, and there's really nothing at 1 mana they can, so that was my thinking. Endurance, okay. We can cash that in. Okay. We can Magmatic Hellkite. I'm surprised that they printed Birthing Ritual. It's like a 2 mana. It's almost like a 2 mana Birthing Pod. Yeah, we'll take them gaining a life. Obsidian Charm, oh, that's what it's called. Okay. We can still Hellkite it up. See, this is one thing I like about Mono White is I actually have answers to Birthing Ritual. In Mono Red, I just gotta take this. I got nothing. Yeah, this is just GG. They only got another Charma, I think. It's getting ridiculous. A little surprised. Can I sacrifice the land? I don't know. Or just the Charma? Ooh, wonderful. It's probably where we pack it in. Now our Krenko doesn't even do anything other than just be a 4/4. Ooh, egg into another egg. Yeah, we got no answer to Birthing Ritual, so this is a matchup we just have to accept as a loss. And I'm not sure if we're going to run into it this league, but another matchup we just can't win is pretty much anything with a Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog just equals GG, pretty much, and I hate to say it. And that's kind of, and you know, the thing is, it's not like this matchup is like is a good matchup for the mono white deck, but like it is actually winnable, which is a nice change of pace. All right, match 4. One nice thing about these mono red leagues is they do go faster, but they go faster both when I just lock them out and also when they just drop something like a Birthing Ritual or Psychic Frog that I just can't deal with. Okay, I was worried that was going to be Ragavan. That would have been just a quick packing it in, unless I draw a removal spell. I'm not so sure we're necessarily built to deal with prowess much either, to be honest. Something about the white border does look kind of cool. I like the art for Dragon Race Channeler. I mean, yeah, it looks pretty standard, but it's just nostalgic for me because it kind of reminds me of these like Flare Ultra Marvel cards that I used to collect. Like a lot of the art was literally just based on like people at the office or something. They patterned like the superheroes off of like real people. That's kind of what Dragon Race Channel looks like. So that's a lot of damage, and we don't got nothing. Draw 2 cards, of course, because why not? Yeah, we're screwed here. We got no removal. I guess this kind of like serves us right for keeping a hand with no removal, I guess. Hmm. Shores bottle. Yeah. It's crazy. One of the best 1-drops of all time, Delver of Secrets. It's funny that they looked at that and they're like, we can do better. Dragon Race Channeler. Yeah, and this is GG. I got no removal. So bam. Wow, that was a Storm's Wrath. Dismember, I guess. Well, taking the 4 life though is not particularly. We don't need Krenko. No tablet? I don't know about that. I might have gone for Magmatic Hellkite maybe, but we need some able to close games out though. Okay, I'm going to wait until after the attack, and the reason why is that they sometimes have mutagenic growth. In retrospect, I probably just should have saved this in case they had what's the card called? Quarry Steel Cutter. Uh-oh. See what I mean? Would have been so much better if could have just blown that up. This might be manageable. Yep. Don't want to take the 3 life. Just not worth it. Okay. Okay. Probably Hellkite. Yeah. Out of basics. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, maybe I just discard both of these cards. Alright. Okay. This is it's a little concerning. Might as well. Actually, block. That's good. Okay. Let's go. Ugh. Can't cast Dismember. So, I'm going to have to take a chance here, and I'm going to have to attack with Magmatic Hellkite. Because otherwise I just don't think this goes well for me. I have to take my chance that I can get one more swing in. They don't have that many flyers, and if they have a Slick Shot Show Off, they probably just win anyway. Well, that's kind of powerful. I guess I got Trample. I think I'm just going to double block one of these. Hope for the best. Probably have like a bunch of blue cards in their hand. Kind of surprising. Kind of surprising, because, like, does this mean we actually win? Okay. Wow. We actually got there. That was unexpected. It's the power of having a Magmatic Hellkite. Yeah. Just like Inscribed Tablet. Dragon Race Channeler, Mistress Bauble. Once again, no removal. Core Steel to the graveyard. They must be mana screwed, otherwise I have no idea why they'd do that. For whatever reason, this deck doesn't really play Ragavan, so I would probably... Okay. Mutagenic, well, not much I can do about that. Alright, I guess we'll Price of Freedom. Spell Pierce! Okay, at least Spell Pierce me. Change of plans. I think we have to Seasoned Pyromancer. Because otherwise we just die. Yeah. I'm a little surprised I did this. I guess we have to. I guess because we have to do that, right? I hope they don't have. Surprised they didn't sack a lava dart or something. Okay. Well, this is a little less than ideal. We need to draw some kind of removal, and we need Price of Freedom to get us there. Might this do it? Might this do it? Probably not. I think... Yeah. That's just very obvious. We should have played the Seasoned Pyromancer, because then we could have blocked the Core Steel Cutter, and then the token, and then we could have Blast Zoned away both the Swift Spear and the Channeler, so... I think I got nothing. I think the best I can do is this one here. I can't believe I did this. This is like the worst of all worlds. Oh, I guess my thinking is maybe I play around a Dash Dragavan and or Monastery Swift Spear number 3, but I can't get behind this. I don't think this is where we want to be. I don't like to see them doing that. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing. All right. Yeah, match 5. See if we can at least finish strong. We had to mulligan that hand, no lands. Two hands, actually. I think the first one as well. No lands, 2 hands in a row is basically what happened. Yeah, we have to... I do not know why I chose Price instead of this, and in retrospect I probably should have chosen Tablet, but... Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think we got to end a turn Lightning Bolt because we really want to Cleansing Wildfire on our turn. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. A little pause on our part. It's kind of similar to how it is sometimes. Excuse the thunder. A little bit of rain today. Oof. Sure. I think this is, yeah, somehow I'm a little distracted apparently. Yes, apologies to the opponent that I have to take some pauses. I'll stop. Just end of turn. Should I skip ahead? Let's see. Yeah, I probably got like a phone call or something. Yeah, so I'm going to spare you from 5+ minutes and nothing. Go back here, yeah. Game resumes. And yeah, okay. Once again, let me speed it up. Okay, there we go. Game resumes. There we go. Voice of Victory. Solid card. I think we voice a Seasoned Pyromancer. Surprised they do this. That was a mistake. Well, maybe not. Obviously, they kill the Seasoned Pyromancer. But they can't kill both the tokens, so. Instant sorcery creature. Could be land once. Come on. Let's speed up through some nothingness. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now we have Delirium. Solange. Okay. Might as well. Okay. Demolition Field for sure. We shuffle some of those other good cards back in. They don't have any mountains. Guided Souls. We'll definitely do this. Yeah, I think let's do that. And then go after the basics after that. Alright. Let's do this. Yeah, they just concede, I'll take it. Okay. I think we swipe Krenko for Storm's Wrath. Let's see. Yeah. Well, in goes Storm's Wrath. What comes out? Krenko, of course. Alright, let's go. Let's see, was there any other card we... I think that was it, yeah. Let's go. Ocelot Pride. Kitty Pride. Guess we'll do this. Storm's Wrath can hit the Planeswalkers too, so that's a good thing. They hit a basic, which was a little surprising. We don't really have a way to deal with Blood Moon, so yeah. I'm thinking we'll Seasoned Pyromancer. And I'm thinking we'll discard Hellkite and Stormwrath. Or land. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Bombardment, okay. Kitty Pride. Doesn't zap. Oh, because red permanent, not creature. Okay, Hellcat time, I think. Oh, no. Definitely this, yeah. Zap, zap. But this hits the Ajani too, which is very important. Yeah. Oh no, for lungs. I sacrifice it. 2 damage. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. I think. Yeah, what we actually want to look for is a 2-mana. A 2-mana. Oh, we got it, but we don't have the land to cast it. No! A little bit concerning. So they can spike us for 3, and also when they sacrifice it, deal 1. Now if they attack, we're dead. Okay, we have an answer. And they hit that, so hopefully they can't cast full launch again. Sack. Another flange. Oh, okay. Well, I just need 2 more creatures they can sack, and then bam. Just in case they have some way to get out from their own Blood Moon. I don't think they can cast launch for the rest of the game, actually. But of course, all they have to do, well, I mean, they can't cast it out of the graveyard. They can cast it from hand. I'd feel much better about our position if we can spike that last plains. Yeah, if they got any non-land card in their hand, then okay, well, they've got enough to bombard us. Okay. All right, I think we just run it back. Really, nothing else to it. Okay. Well, hand might be a little jank, but we're gonna keep. A little jank hand, but we're gonna keep. Kitty Pride. Play that. We have to Lightning Bolt because we don't want this generating more cat tokens. Okay, well, they create us a token there. Alright, we do Inscribed Tablet first, no? Why would I not sack? Yeah, of course I sack Tablet, yeah. And then I get Field of Ruin. Alright, yeah, I just do it like that, I guess. I don't want to take unnecessary damage. Oh yeah, this is going to be a big sweep. But But I do this actually because I don't want them to boost their creatures out of burn range. Because it's counters, not. Yeah, damn. Okay. I think Hellkite's got to be the play. It's just better overall. So I think if I remember correctly, what they do is they put 2 counters on the Cat Warrior to bait me into blocking to flip the Ajani, and I take the bait because I just don't want to take unnecessary much damage. Yeah, I gotta take it. I mean, 4 damage is no joke. Although, I guess I end up taking 4 damage anyway. Well, not 4 damage, because they don't have a red permanent, so... It would be 3 damage anyway, even if I had a... Yeah. Okay, Hellkite number 2. So what I can do is I can Field of Ruin. Yeah. I was thinking I could Field of Ruin. I don't take extra damage. I respect that. I didn't play Sundering. Interesting. Alright. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna Ponza them out apparently. And I guess it's good we held on to Sundering Eruption because that can take care of the lapse basic. Pretty good. Oh, and they just anticlimactically give up. Alright. Pretty good stuff. Okay, post-league wrap-up. So, yeah, by popular demand, I had to try this out, and I had to share with you all how some of this went. So, yeah, the reason why this was a post-league is that, honestly, my leagues were, I think they ended up being like 2-3, 1-4, and then 3-2. Obviously, 3-2 being the best of those league results, and thankfully this time we didn't run into any Psychic Frogs, but the biggest problem I've been having, and we didn't run into this league, is honestly just Psychic Frog. Like I think that was why I was like maybe Dismember. We didn't get to try Dismember against Psychic Frog, but even Dismember, man, like, because this isn't like, if it was -5 counters, I kind of wish it was. That'd be one thing. Even that wouldn't be like a clean answer. But the problem is still, even with this, let's do the math here. So let's say they're on the play. Let's say they have 7 cards in their hand. 6, they play their land for the turn. Whether they cantrip or not, it's a pass. Then they draw another card 7. They play another card 6. They play Psychic Frog 5. So they got 5 cards in their hand. We Dismember. They can still discard 4 cards from their hand to give it +4/+4, giving it 6 toughness, putting it at a Dismember range. Now, since it is colorless, it is possible we might be able to supplement that with an Unholy Heat or a Cleansing Wildfire, which, of course, I guess that was my theory. That was my main theory with adding Dismember to the sideboard, is that, maybe just disincentivizes them from discarding a lot, because I don't actually have to have 2 red for this. I can play this off of colorless, and then like, yeah, they could discard 4 cards, but then any burn spell, including an unpowered Unholy Heat, finishes it off. And but of course, they could just force a negation, which of course could be true of any removal spell. I mean, it's like not completely unbeatable, but it is a big problem. Yeah. Also, Birthing Ritual. There's nothing we can do. It's always a weakness we've had with mono red, but there's a premier enchantment nowadays, whereas there wasn't necessarily before. So that's kind of an issue. Yeah, I think this deck is a little bit gimmicky, and it might have a place depending on the meta, but this meta is so wide open that unless the meta narrows to like producing some really, really good matchups for this deck that see a lot of play, and I'll give you an example, like I have to imagine Rakdos midrange, like if that deck makes a comeback, I have to imagine we've got a better matchup than ever, because that deck was always a bit susceptible to the Panza strategy. All their creatures pretty much got hit by our lightning bolts and holy heats and flame slashes. Yeah, like that's an example. Like if Rakdos midrange, if that's like 40% of the meta, like it was at one point, which nobody particularly likes that, but yeah, like that's where this deck can shine. But in this wide open meta, it's just kind of hard for me to, like I'm not going to say it's a bad deck, but I mean, like for example, like even Eldrazi, here's the issue with Eldrazi, and I think I actually dropped some matches against Eldrazi too. Here's the problem, okay? I know Eldrazi seems like, well, we've got so much Panza, so can't we just keep them off of their lands? Well, not quite, because all it takes is them just having like a couple Eldrazi temples, and sometimes we can't always fire off a Price of Freedom or something like on turn 2, and even if we can, like it's not that hard for them to set up one decently sized Kozilek's command, and then they produce a bunch of Eldrazi spawn tokens, and then from there it's just they start being able to cast stuff, and we can't fully Panza them, and their creatures, particularly their high-end ones and their planeswalkers like Ujin, I have the Storms, are just impossible for us to deal with. It's but I mean, I think we have the ability to get there. I may have dropped one game and won one game. I didn't keep track. It seemed like depending on how the match went, it could be problematic. But I also think that matchup is possibly winnable. But it's just like, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear your all suggestions for how I might make this deck solve some of the issues with this deck. Like issue number 1. I mean, I'm open to playing this deck some more, but honestly, I'm probably going to be sticking to mostly mono white unless, like I said, the meta narrows, or unless you all have a suggestion that's going to plug some of the obvious problems. And chief among them is Psychic Frog. I am aware I can Pithing Needle Psychic Frog to make it so they can't pump it, but this feels so janky because they're still going to draw a couple cards off of it. And I guess I could Pithing Needle and then play like Lightning Bolt, but it's like, it feels. I guess I could experiment playing, but like, what do I take out though? Honestly, I kind of like the idea of Dismember better, because there's more stuff that Dismember helps deal with anyway. To be honest, bottom line, if we're gonna be going that all in on trying to deal with Psychic Frog, although I guess an argument in favor of Pithing Needle is that I could just Dismember one Psychic Frog and then just play another one, and then it's like, okay, GG. Yeah, I guess Pithing Needle, is a possibility. We could even name a fetch land. I don't know how good that even is. And another problem with Pithing Needle though is unless you preemptively name Psychic Frog, like they could sort of next level you by discarding like 3 cards, just in case you have Flame Slash. And this is assuming I take out Dismember in favor of Pithing Needle. I suppose I could play both, but I could and I could take out Shatterstorm, but then I just forfeit the affinity match. it doesn't seem like I'm really going to be bringing this in against almost any other matchup. But see, this is the problem I have, is that there's a number of matchups that are just kind of impossible, and I need like super heavy hitters like Shatterstorm to actually help. And the problem is it's more than one. I mean, in theory, like Modern is susceptible to all these Cleansing Wildfire effects. So like in theory, Ponza is viable in Modern, but in practice, the issue is I'm just finding that there's like too many problematic matchups. There's Affinity, which of course, Shatterstorm might help. I have to imagine it's still kind of a negative matchup though, because I actually have to see Shatterstorm and they actually have to not have Metallic Rebuke. Yeah, and I don't have as many sweepers as the mono white deck either. So I'm really all in on Storm's Wrath to deal with all those like tokens that they generate off of that Storm card. Oh yeah, and another thing too, like even simple cards that don't seem like they would they should cause a problem, but kind of are. I mean, like Fillets is kind of hard for them to cast when you hit their lands, but if they do cast it, like we kind of need a full powered Unholy Heat to hit it, and there's only like one of these in our deck. And like even something as simple as Quantum Riddler, like I think I lost once to just a Quantum Riddler that got ephemerated, and it wasn't even necessarily because of the card advantage. It was just because I think I even like hit most of their lands, so I was on track to locking them out, but I just wasn't able to like draw like I had like one Lightning Bolt or something, and I wasn't able to draw another one or an Unholy Heat, or maybe I did have an Unholy Heat and I just didn't have. I only had like I didn't have like a creature or something. I only had sorcery, land, instant, no artifact, no creature. Like that can happen. Like something. I just remember being in situations where like this sucks. Like losing to a 6 toughness Quantum Riddler. It just like back when Modern was filled with cards like Fury, which we played too, which technically had 3 toughness, even though it hit for 6 damage on the power end. Grief, 2 toughness. What do you call it? Orcish Bowmasters, 1 toughness. Although Orcish Bowmasters is still kind of annoying if they play in response to my Seasoned Pyromancer. I'm trying to think, like, I mean, yeah, back before Modern Horizons 3, yeah, like, yeah, I don't know what to say. Just like, honestly, the highest toughness creature was kind of Yawgmoth Thran Physician, which I think has 5 toughness. So like, yeah, like that was one of the only high toughness creature that saw play, and even that was, and of course, good old Primeval Titan. That's another thing too. Like this Primeval Titan decks, you'd think they would get just blasted by these fields and stuff, but like not really, because you see, if they were all in on the amulets like they used to, if they were dependent on the amulets, we could just hold up Demolition Fields and then hit the Karoo lands in response. Though, they have been starting to incorporate Lotus Field, which did exist back in the day, but I guess somebody figured out, oh, hold on, if we're untapping Lotus Field, then we don't even... I think somebody figured out with Amulet decks, they're like, hold on, we pretty much always win the turn we get a huge boost of mana, so who cares that we have to sacrifice 2 lands? We're just going to win this turn anyway. And they just realized, like, yeah, just play Lotus Field, and then we can't target that. Yeah, we can hit it with Krenko, but if they're untapping it, like that's, that completely sidesteps holding up a field. And 2, they've also got Spellunking, and that card just automatically untaps them. And I mean, the upside to us is that they can't stack those Spellunking effects, but honestly, it's worse for us simply because there's no trigger for us to respond to with a Demolition Field. So it just puts we get put in a situation where they almost always can burst enough mana, even if we start really like going after their lands and are somewhat semi-successful and we're on the cusp of maybe getting them locked out. But like they always can produce enough mana in one turn to just start going nuts, and it's just kind of a problem. I really think that there is something here. There is something here, but it's just number one Psychic Frog. That's a big disaster. Sorry if I got sidetracked, but like they could even, I think I even said that they could next level with Psychic Frog, and even if you play Pithing Needle, they could discard like 3 cards, and then they're out of Flame Slash range if they're aware. They might discard just 2 cards, thinking Lightning Bolt's the most likely high-powered one. But either way, you know, forcing you to have like exactly Flame Slash, or even playing around Flame Slash if they saw it game 1 or something, if you were lucky enough to win game 1, or even if you lost game 1 and they just saw Flame Slash. So problem number 1, man, like having a clean answer to Psychic Frog would be nice. I mean, ideally more than one. Like, even if they printed like a red Path to Exile, that's cool and all, but it's still like, I still don't think that solves the problem that Psychic Frog is just kind of a nightmare, because that puts you in the situation where you have to have your 1 silver bullet removal when they have their Psychic Frog. You're not always going to have it when they have it, and sometimes you'll have it when they don't, which I guess is fine, but like, anyway, it would just at least be nice to have like a clean answer, and even Dismember ain't that. Well, that's the closest thing to it, because it could scare the heebie-jeebies out of them. And like, it could create a situation where even if you don't have a supplemental burn spell, you know, just the threat of like having a burn spell and making them discard their entire hand in futile, probably Dismember is the closest thing to a clean answer, and even that is like, it's not actually a clean answer. Yeah, and then there's the Affinity deck, which I guess I found Shatterstorm, but it would be kind of nice if we had another card that you know, was a little more versatile in other matchups. Yeah, and honestly, Relic of Progenitus, this should probably be unlicensed hearse, just because it's a repeatable effect. We don't really see it too much, but this is also an excellent answer to Ren and 6, because it can keep eating the lands they try to return to their hand. So yeah, probably unlicensed hearse is better. I mean, I like these cards. It's just this is a brave new modern world that like I honestly, if Price of Freedom was printed like a couple years ago, it could have been the golden age of mono red Panza. But it's just like, all the creatures now have more toughness. Amulet's playing a Lotus Petal, Lotus Bloom, or whatever, Lotus Field, and they're playing Spellunk King, which they didn't have like 2-3 years ago. So like that's the problem. Like, there's just so much has changed. Quantum Riddlers and all these other things. Fillades. There's like, yeah. Anyway, guys. And I didn't mean to abruptly end that recording, but want to thank definitely the patrons: Koshi, Nevelina, Toby Kramer, Alex Korather, Big Mamu, Adrian King, Gavin Downer, Erlen Lopez, Michael Patton. Yeah, thank you, and we hopefully we can continue to have success in Modern, but it might be more with the mono white deck. We shall see. Until next time, yeah. Yeah, just play this deck at your own risk. Basically, it as you can see, like when it wins pretty decisively. But when it runs into problems, ain't much you can do. Like that Birthing Ritual deck. Just kind of, they draw Birthing Ritual and it's basically GG. All right, thanks everybody.